Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about kitchen interior design trends. What is in and what is out. As usual when discussing trends, you don't have to listen to these. You don't have to listen to me. Like, I'm just a person here on your phone. It doesn't really matter what I think. I'm never gonna go to your house, okay? So do what you want, but it is important to recognize that these trends are happening and they will start to show up in showrooms near you. So we're gonna discuss the things that are really in and gonna be really popular in 2023 and beyond, and also what's out and maybe you might wanna rethink. So if you want a kitchen that is going to stand the test of time going forward, not gonna look dated as soon as you put it in, then listen up, let's go. If you know me, then you know that I like waking up in the morning, heading over to the kitchen and having my gorgeous espresso for my morning Americano, courtesy of my gorgeous machine back there, and also taking my daily probiotic from today's sponsor, Seed. So I've been taking the DS01 Daily Symbiotic from Seed and can really feel the difference in how it supports my skin, my heart, and my gut health. I have a pretty active lifestyle between filming YouTube videos, which actually is not that active, but other stuff. I also work out and I generally like being sort of on the go. And so I want to really always feel my best. And especially now that it's summer and these days are longer, I want to ensure that I feel supported and that I can enjoy being outside in the sunshine throughout the day and feel like I've taken care of some of the basic building blocks that I need for my health. The DS01 is a symbiotic, which means this supplement is a 2-in-1 prebiotic and also probiotic, which helps both feed and populate beneficial gut bacteria. The prebiotic is a polyphenol sourced from pomegranate skin and is non-fermentative, so it is less likely to cause stomach discomfort than other prebiotics, especially ones that I have tried in the past, because I have tried several. If you want to try out Seed's DS01 today, check out the link in my description. So thank you, Seed, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to those kitchen design trends. Okay, first trend that is in is putting original art in the kitchen. So I think for a long time, open shelving, which we'll get to, has been really popular in the kitchen. And I think people are sort of setting some space aside to put some art prints, some original little cute pieces and art on the wall, and really just sectioning off space rather than just kind of a lot of heavy cabinetry or word signs or open shelving, but instead putting some more interesting art pieces in the kitchen. I think for so long, people, rightfully so, have been very focused on making sure their kitchen is absolutely the most functional it can be. And so open shelving might be a part of that, maybe closed cabinetry definitely is a part of that, appliances, of course. But I think sort of people, to improve sort of the aesthetics of their kitchen and provide a little bit more originality in the kitchen, it's becoming increasingly popular to put some interesting art there as well. So that can be in a really funky frame, that can be some art that you really love, maybe some photography that you took yourself, and really bringing a little bit more personality into the kitchen, just a little bit, to sort of make it feel a little bit more custom, a little bit more special for you. So this is a trend I really like. I think it's a trend that will continue. I will say it tends to make more sense in larger kitchens, in new builds, and that's largely because you want to be careful when, again, considering the function of a kitchen and what it's there for, you want to be really careful with removing space that you could use for storage, for closed cabinetry, whatever, and reserving it for something that is still serving a function, just maybe not going to be for things like organization and things like utensils and things that you're gonna need in the kitchen. So I would say be careful with this one. I wouldn't go so heavy on the art pieces that your kitchen starts to feel less usable and functional, but I think having a little bit of space set aside for you to put in your own personality is a good thing. So don't go overboard, as is usually the case with most of these trends, but if you wanna set aside a little spot for a piece of art, very on trend, very hot right now. Okay, and then what else is in is going to be lamps. So table lamps specifically are popping up all over the place in kitchen designs here in 2023. And I like this one as well because, as you all know, I'm a big fan of a layered dynamic lighting plan. I feel like the trend tends to have been in the past to do maybe some under counter lighting, maybe some LED light strips sort of around the base cabinetry, around the toe kit kind of area. That's been really, really popular for a while. And all that is really great to sort of provide some ambient light in there. Under the cabinetry can be great for task lighting as well. And then of course, there's usually the big pendants over top of the kitchen island or over top of your peninsula or whatever. That has been very popular for a very long time. And that makes sense because that's task lighting for when you're chopping vegetables and things like that. But a little bit of accent lighting, a little bit of something that provides a little bit, again, more personality to your space. Bringing in something like a table lamp just provides an opportunity to add a little bit more lighting into your space, which is always a good thing, to have different sources of lighting in the kitchen, but also can feel different than some of the fixed elements that you have in the space. So much of the kitchen is fixed, especially lighting, that it is nice to have some room to sort of play with a different lighting fixture that maybe speaks the same design language, could be in a similar style as your pendant, pendants, or could be in a similar color or something like that, but is an opportunity for you to do something a little bit different. Just create some more nuanced look and nuanced design for your kitchen. So I think this is a fun one. Again, typically works for a larger kitchen because you have the space to set aside some countertop for something like a lamp, as opposed to in a smaller kitchen, you probably have a limited counter space and you want to keep that for things like, maybe some small countertop appliances or for a cutting board or some functional use. But I think in a larger kitchen, if you have the space for it, this is becoming increasingly popular as well. And I like this one because again, it just provides a more layered lighting look, and I think that's really great. Okay, but now what is out is going to be the all white kitchen. Now, okay, before I lose you, let's go back. I will say my personal stance is, controversial opinion as it might be, I do think that the all white kitchen is timeless. I'm not saying it's in style right now. I think that, again, it's a little bit out, but I don't think it looks bad. I never think a white kitchen looks incredibly dated. I think it looks like it's a fine choice all the time. I think white is a timeless color. I think having it in the kitchen is fairly timeless. I think it will come back in style eventually, but I will say that it might ebb and flow in terms of its popularity. Right now, it's kind of on a bit of a downward spiral, if I'm being quite honest. But it'll probably come back, but I'm just saying for now, it's a little bit out. And I think the reason is because it's so been done on social media. It's impractical in many ways because the whites that you see on social media aren't real, because those kitchens aren't that white, because they use Facetune and Lightroom and all these things to make it look like it's super glowingly white in their beautiful mommy blogger Salt Lake City vibe kitchen that they have going on. But the truth is that's not real and no one actually lives that way. So it's kind of impractical. It's also a bit boring, a little bit flat. And I think people are looking for kind of a more interesting kitchen, something that feels a little bit more special. And rather than white quartz with white cabinetry with a white subway backsplash, they're looking for space to kind of do something a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more depth, something a little bit more interesting than the white kitchen. Does it ever look bad? No, I don't think it ever looks bad. Well, some of them do, but like, I don't think it really ever looks bad to do a white kitchen, but it's just not the most exciting choice in 2023. Yeah, I don't anticipate that changing. Give it a few more years and I'm sure it'll come back. But for now, this one is a kitchen design trend that is out. Sorry if you have one, but if you love it, keep it, obviously, because kitchen renovations are expensive. If you got one, you keep it. But if you're doing a kitchen renovation, rethink it. Now, in the same vein, what is in right now is definitely moodier kitchens. So kitchens that have sort of a lot more wood, a lot more depth in their color tones, a little bit darker, those tend to be really, really popular right now. I think the all white bright kitchen, again, it's a little bit kind of out than what it was in the past. I think something a little bit moody and also really matches a lot of the color tones that they're using in other areas of the house. For the last couple of years, I think that people have kind of gone away from the light and airy and they're going for a little bit more of the dark and moody. And that's true for the living room, it's true for the bathroom, the bedroom, whatever other areas of the home. So the kitchen has definitely followed suit with that. And we're seeing a lot more room for people to play with color, and especially some of those darker colors. If you do want to stick to neutrals, that's totally fine, but sticking to some of the darker neutrals, things like black cabinetry has been popular for a couple of years if you want to go very, very dark. But even if you don't, things in like a really gorgeous sort of dark sage color is beautiful, a dark navy, seeing a lot of those. Even in the red tones, seeing a lot of that kind of red wine cabinetry being brought in. A lot of the marbles as well tend to be a little bit darker. Again, the heavier wood, so things like walnut, rather than going for kind of the bright white, but going for those kind of wood tones with a little bit more depth to them. Those are really super popular right now. I don't think that's really going to change over the next couple of years because people are kind of sick of the all white everything look that was so popular in kind of the late 2010s. And now in 2023 and beyond, have some room to play with a little bit more color. If you don't like it, of course, you don't have to do it. So that's sort of the trend that we're sort of seeing going forward. Overall, I would look at this less as like, oh, everything's light, then everything's dark, and that'll go back again and light again. Obviously trends do tend to ebb and flow like that, as I said, but I would look at this more just opens up more range of being creative with what you're doing with your color choices. So I would look at it less as like, this is the new hot trendy thing until the white kitchen comes back again, and more freedom to play a little bit more with color, even especially those darker colors that so often people were afraid of for so many years. So overall, I would say this is a good trend and a fun one for people to experiment with in the kitchen. Okay, and the next trend that is in is going to be statement slabs. I've talked about this for a couple of years. This has been popular for a while. This one is right up my alley, but I do think you should be careful, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Statement slabs, the marbles, the quartzites, the gorgeous, the super whites that we've seen vein are beautiful. The, not just going with a white marble or a white quartz, but going with one with lots of contrast, lots of veining, lots of color. Those have been in for a little while. They're going to continue to be in. I do think you need to be careful with it though. I think that a natural material, in my personal opinion, always looks beautiful. So I actually do think that these will stand the test of time, I think. So I think if you do decide to go with something like, Calcutta Bagley, or I would say like even going so far as something like a Calcutta Viola or something, a Viola marble, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I do think natural materials tend to stand the test of time. Where I think you should be careful though, is you better really love that slab, because these are high contrast, lots of veining, and they are risky in the sense that you could get sick of it. Whether it's trendy or not is kind of irrelevant, really. It's about what you get sick of, and you better love that slab. So I would really, really be careful with these, because it is a fixed element. Kitchen renovations are so expensive, which is so often why people play it safe and just go for the white quartz. But I do think if you are going to invest in a statement slab, just make sure that it's one that you really, really love. If you're on the fence and you're thinking, I don't want to go with a basic sort of white quartz or something, I do want to go with a natural material, just maybe choose one with a little bit less veining than you might think, and maybe go for something, like I said, super white, gorgeous. It's a hard marble. It's sometimes labeled as a quartzite. Anyway, that's a whole thing. Going with something like a super white, it's this beautiful, soft, cool gray. That could be a really great option for people. People love that one. And it's not as high contrast as something like a Viola. So I would just be careful with this one, but it is very, very hot, very in for kitchen design. This is one to be careful of though, because people renovate their kitchen, maybe once every 10 years they can afford to do it, because they're expensive and complicated and so freaking annoying because you don't have a kitchen for several months. So just be really careful when you do one to choose a slab that you're going to be living with for a long, long time. So I would be careful with this trend, but it is a fun one. Okay, next trend that is out is going to be mosaic tiles. I know these ones, the little baby hexagons, and then the little like pixel designs that people sort of create where they get really funky with their weird backsplashes and they just go super kooky crazy with their patterns that they throw out there. These are looking a little bit dated. I think these were these ever fun? I don't know. Some people really had fun with them. Listen, I love a funky tile. I really do. Like the bathroom tile that I have is a little bit out there and probably 90% of the people wouldn't like it, but I love it and that's cool, so which is why I went with it. But I would say going with a backsplash like this, it does feel a little dated. This was super popular several years ago. I think it felt really fun and funky, but doesn't ever really feel all that timeless. It really does feel a design that was a little out there and very locked in sort of like 2017, 2018. This is sometimes, like I kind of said with the statement marble, sometimes the risk of going a little bit too crazy with your fixed elements, because especially in a kitchen, it's so complicated to do and it's so expensive and really annoying, like I said. And so I would be really careful with some of the choices that you make. This is a really good example of a type of tile that was a little bit weird and people went for it, and it was so high contrast and so funky that ultimately it just started to look really dated and really locked into a specific period of time. So this mosaic tile is a little bit out. Also, another thing to really consider with these is that they're so high contrast, playing with the different tones of the different hexes, that it really feels very, very busy. And so it really draws the eye to this backsplash, which is fine if you've got a really great, beautiful backsplash, but it does mean that when it looks really dated, it just really draws the attention to the kitchen and kind of starts dating the cabinetry and the countertops and all the rest of it. So I would be very, very careful with this one. The high contrast, the busyness of it all kind of gives people a headache. I think when they stare at it for long periods of time, I would avoid this one if you're putting it in 2023. Just maybe if you really still kind of love just like the little baby penny rounds or the hexes, that's fine, that's great. Maybe just choose one and go for a uniform sort of backsplash rather than kind of getting a little bit crazy with where you decided to place your hexes, because yeah, this one's a little bit out for me. I'm sorry if you have this. Okay, next one that is in is going to be storage solutions. So creative storage solutions are so popular. I don't know, maybe I want to thank TikTok for this one, I don't know, or social media, because I do feel like people get a lot of attention on these apps for their really cool storage solutions. Things like an appliance garage. Ugh, I love an appliance garage, right? So if you don't know what an appliance garage is, it's where, you can store all the kind of ugly blenders and toasters and things that are not particularly attractive, that you don't want to clutter up your countertop space because, you got these beautiful, gorgeous slabs that we talked about. And then you're like, okay, well, what do I do with all the stuff that I actually use? So it plugs plugs in the back, so you run your electrical back there, which is great. You tuck it in every night when you go to bed, and you can use that whenever you feel like it. And then when you don't use it, you just shut the door so it blends in seamlessly with the rest of your cabinetry. I love these garages. I think they're fantastic. I wish I kind of had one. Again, works better for a bigger kitchen because you are devoting some sort of countertop space there for it, but I do think that they're a wonderful addition. Seeing lots of like hidden pantries, little pantries you wouldn't think are pantries, like just really cool storage solutions that are out there that are really funky, and they're functional, not just kind of like cool for being weird, which is so often what takes off on social media, and weird overstays its welcome. You can quote me on that one. Well, I think like this one is weird, but functional and kind of cool and actually things that people use all the time. So I think these are great. Really, when you're doing a kitchen renovation, I really do think take a look at like where your ports are, where your electrical is gonna go, where your plumbing is gonna go. And this is the time if you wanna add extra plugs, extra outlets, whatever, inside drawers, so you can do all your charging, you can do all that stuff right there from the kitchen. I love this trend. I think it's really neat. And I love that in the world of social media, we can share all these really interesting ideas so people can apply some of this stuff in their own kitchens, which I think is great. So this trend is very much in, and it is actually functional and usable in people's real life. So I think this is one that's gonna have some staying power. Okay, and next one is going to be the coffee station. I have seen some tricked out coffee stations, and I am a coffee lover. I love coffee. I love it. I can't live without it. There's a lot of things I can't live. She said I could never have potato chips again. I would be sad, but I could get over that. Ice cream, sad, I could get over it. Coffee, non-negotiable. So I love coffee, and I love these little cute coffee stations that people are coming up with. Some of them are a little bit weird. Like some people have just gone a little bit over the odds with their like flexing on their coffee stations. But I think having some space like I've got back there for an actual coffee machine and all the little tools and stuff that you need, I think is a great thing, because if you have the space for it and it's a priority in your life, which is important. If you don't drink coffee, then skip this one, obviously. But I think that if you love coffee and it's a daily ritual for you, then having a little space set aside for it, I think is really cool. And people are getting really fun and creative with their coffee stations. This is definitely a trend that is becoming very popular because people are recognizing that this is kind of an important part of their day. And so, you know, if you have the time and the space to do it and the budget to sort of kind of trick out a little station for yourself, then I say go for it. So, I mean, mine is not that great. It's just an espresso machine and like what I need. But like some people are really going full on. And I think for some, especially if they're not drinking a lot of alcohol, this has almost replaced the bar for a lot of people to kind of set aside rather than just having a little cocktail area, which is also fine if you drink. But if you don't, then I think the coffee station is the new hot place to kind of like have some fun and play around with its own like purpose-built sort of area for itself. So I think these are really fun. Replaced alcohol as the new hot kitchen thing. And I think it's cool. As a person who loves coffee more, well, I wouldn't say more than alcohol, but like more than a glass of wine or whatever, then yeah, sure. Then I think this is a great one. Okay, next thing is out, and I might be willing this one into existence, is endless open shelving. Guys, I've talked about the open shelving. We've talked about this, but why would I do a kitchen design trend video and not talk about open shelving? The trend that will not go away, but maybe finally will. Here's the thing, open shelving, fun. You've got some nice, cute things. You want to display them. You've got some really cool bowls. You put them on your shelves and you're like, yeah, I've got some cookbooks that I want to display. Love that for you. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of open shelving. But then you realize you don't have that many nice things because most of your stuff is ugly. So what are you gonna do? You don't display it on the rest of your endless wall of open shelving. You have that little corner nook for you to put some open shelving to fit its purpose, which is easily accessible, beautiful, on display, like add some character, all the things that we talked about that we want to do in our kitchen. That's what the little bit of open shelving is for. But the endless rows of open shelving, that trend is, whether it's over or not, I don't know. I'm trying to make it over. I'm doing my part in this video, okay? The rows and rows of stuff, that's over. Like, I think we're tired of that because I generally always, when I'm trying to predict what trends are sort of coming and which ones are not, I sort of, this is my job, so I devote a lot of mental space to this. I think of like, does it work for real people? Does it actually make sense for your average person? Or is it so impractical that this is just gonna run its course, peak, and then die? This is one that to me, the lots of open shelving thing just feels like a trend that a lot of people loved because it aesthetically looked really gorgeous on social media, but ultimately was one that does not have staying power because most people don't live this way. Most of their stuff is ugly and they want to use closed cabinetry for that reason. So I think this is a trend that's on the way out. Those things get greasy. No one is in the mood for washing all those bowls every few days because they get greasy all the time. No one wants this. This is a trend that's on its way out. And you know, hopefully it's on its way out. I mean, is it? Remains to be seen, but I say it is, so let's please will it out. Come on. Okay, next up is going to be integrated appliances. Integrated appliances have been hot for so long, and I think it's the standard going forward. Like, I just don't, especially in contemporary spaces. If you like more modern spaces, if you're looking for something more sleek, if you're looking for, you're just not gonna get it through a big old stainless steel fridge and giant dishwasher, and you're just not gonna get, in my opinion, you're just, unless it's a particular look you're going for, like you're going for the big industrial like ranges and you've got the plan for the big fridge and you have a plan for it, then I think that maybe, having all those without integrated appliances might make sense for you. But if you're just gonna get like the Best Buy Samsung fridge and put it in the corner, it's fine, it does the job. But if you want to take your kitchen to the next level, I would consider integrated appliances, because by integrating them into your cabinetry, it's always gonna look more seamless, it's always gonna look gorgeous, it's just gonna make your space blend and be like inherently more cohesive than just all those little patches of stainless that are just gonna be bouncing around your kitchen. So I don't see it as the trend going away. I think that as people are investing time and money into their kitchen renovations, I think more and more you're gonna see people integrating their appliances. It feels very European. It's something that has been popular in Europe for a very long time, and I think we're seeing more and more of that in North America, and I hope so, because especially in contemporary design, it's just the direction that things have gone. It used to be sort of very high-end because it takes a lot more work for the mechanics of getting the fridge integrated and the paneled and all the rest of it. It is more work and therefore more money, but I do think that some people are starting to consider it a lot more. I hope it's a trend that continues to happen, because I think, as people invest more time in their kitchens and their money into their kitchens, I do think it's becoming more and more of a priority to panel these things, because to me, in my view, if I can panel it, I'm gonna panel it. And I can't panel a microwave, but to me, if I can panel a dishwasher and a fridge, whatever, I happily will. So I hope this is a trend that continues. Okay, and then the last trend that is out is going to be over-the-range microwaves. Okay, over-the-range microwave, if you don't know what that is, when I show the photos, you're gonna be like, yep, this looks dated. Yeah, it does, but there are still so many people that are putting over-the-range microwaves in. And there are some advantages to it, but there's a lot of cons, which is, I think, what holds the OTR back, as it's known in the biz. Okay, the OTR, this is when you've got your range down below and then you put your microwave over top. I don't like this for a few different reasons. So let's start with aesthetics, because it's me. So let's start there. So I just think this is like such a focal point in your kitchen. This is such a special place in your kitchen where you've got this range and then you've got this like spot that just is like right there in the center of your kitchen, and you put a microwave. And it's like, aesthetically, it's like, can we just not put it like a beautiful hood fan? Could we not do a custom hood fan here? Can we not do some cabinetry if you want a really sleek hood fan? Like, that's cool. I feel like there's so many things that we can do that are a beautiful focal point in the kitchen. The microwave is not it. Microwaves are not attractive. No one really likes them all that much. And I just think for that reason, it's really just an eyesore right there over the top of the range. You could do so many better things with that than just kind of putting in an ugly old microwave. It's also really not great usually for ventilation. Depending on where you have it, most of the time, you're probably gonna wanna put your ventilation on an outside, like exterior wall, so that you can actually vent outside. Oftentimes, those dinky little things that are over top are kind of underneath the microwaves there. It's not really gonna do it for you. So usually for ventilation, depending on how you cook, it's usually not the best option. It can also be too high for people. So if your children want to access the microwave, which again, depends on their age, don't come at me if you're like, but a 2-year-old shouldn't be using a microwave, whatever. We're talking like an 8-year-old, I don't know. I don't know how kids are, like 12 years old, 8, who knows? Kids can't really use an over-the-range microwave because it's too high. So also accessibility issues. If you have a person who is looking for something wheelchair accessible, whatever, it's really difficult to use a microwave. Even just if you're short, even if you're a short person, it can be hard to use a microwave. So I think the over-the-range is inaccessible, poor ventilation, and an ugly eyesore over top of that range. So where do you put it? First of all, I think a lot of the trends are moving away from microwaves completely. A lot of people are not actually even putting in microwaves, or they're putting it, if they're lucky enough to have a pantry, they're sort of hiding a cheap countertop one over in the pantry for the rare occasion they actually use a microwave. The other thing people are using, combi ovens, they're using steam ovens, they're using speed ovens, which can maybe not be as fast as a microwave, but are infinitely better and make better tasting food, and like maybe double, triple the time, which when we're talking 60 seconds, we're talking like whatever, 3 minutes instead of 1. So, you know, I think those options are worth considering in a new build rather than even needing a microwave at all. If you do need a microwave, hiding it in an island in something like a drawer can make sense, or sort of the oven drawer kind of format. I don't know if you've seen those ones. You know, different places that you can hide it make a little bit more sense than putting it right in that focal point. So I would say the over-the-range microwave is a kitchen design trend that is definitely out. It feels really dated. For many years, this was the standard practice for microwaves. This is where everybody threw the microwave right there above the range. And I think it may finally be on the way out officially, especially in high-end design. It's been out for a while, but I think you're gonna see a lot less of it in the future. Okay, so that's it for me for today's video. I hope you really enjoyed this one. You can go click this video here if you would like to see more of me. I hope you enjoyed these kitchen design trends. Let me know what trends I missed or which trends you think are on the way out down below in the comment section. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.